Rusev Botch. Rusev Machka.
Bum, 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 bum.
You can cut to me now. To have WWE botched Rusev's return. That's not the thumbnail, I'm just realising. I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleRamble review of last night's Raw. Please press the thumbs up button, press the subscribe button, give us a comment down below with what you thought of the episode. And this episode of the WrestleRamble is brought to you by the WrestleTalk magazine. Celebrate with a little bit of the bubbly, because this Thursday, 2 days' time, we will be launching in shops nationwide, all across the UK, in supermarkets, newsagents, those little WH Smiths probably that you find at train stations.
Service stations.
We're going to be there. WrestleTalk's go mainstream. We're so proud of this magazine. It's been given a design refresh as well. I think it looks fantastic.
So nice.
So yeah, and you can order your copies if you go to WrestleTalk.bigcartel.com. And of course, if you're in the UK, you can pick them up in shops, hopefully, as well. And we are joined by King Chopper Whopper on the Superchats.
Chop of the morning, afternoon, evening, night. Hello. Hi.
Hi, Pete.
Full of energy today. After his 4 days off, he's come back brimming with charisma.
With hungoverness.
Oh, yeah.
Not hungover, I'm just tired.
Tired from...
Didn't get much sleep.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like. I was actually just reading in this excellent...
Yeah, we didn't live stream Clash of Champions and finish work at 6 a.m., did we? Yeah.
I was just reading through the quite excellent WrestleTalk magazine, and what's this? Our view. I'm going to read what Ollie Davis thought of New Japan Royal Quest. I loved Royal Quest. Okada vs Suzuki was the best match of the night, but Ishii vs Kenta was also great, despite the obvious concussions suffered by the latter.
That's some of the high-quality opinions you can get in this magazine.
There's also a picture of me that I do not know where it came from. We're going to assume it's MediaCon because I'm wearing a Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirt.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I sent over. No, it isn't. It's the photo shoot me and you did.
No, it's not, because I was wearing a South Park t-shirt on that day.
Well, let's talk about Rusev. And how this has happened. Of course, we'll get to your super chats after this first discussion topic, and then at the end of the show. So, last night's Raw was a mixed bag. A good half of it wasn't just bollocks. It was significantly damaging stuff to a lot of wrestlers and a lot of storylines. The other half was absolutely fantastic, and I loved it. The reports are Paul Heyman was in complete control of this show. Not only no Vince McMahon, but no Triple H either.
Yeah.
And we always say, I think it's quite popular, Heyman feels like this saviour figure, he can do no wrong. An image which Heyman has created himself. He's been largely responsible for that. And I think this shows that Heyman isn't all good. In fact, he's probably 40% quite bad and still relying on the old shock tactics of the worst parts of the Attitude Era.
Yes, I would certainly agree with that. We actually we got a really good email coming in on this Saturday's WrestleRamble that one of our patrons left in the mailbag community, which was about their thoughts on why there was a wrestling boom in the late 90s and why the Attitude Era was so successful, and actually has nothing to do with the wrestling side of it. It's actually just more because everyone was into shock stuff at that time. It was Beavis and Butthead. It was
Jerry Springer.
It was just car crash TV was the thing, and WWF and WCW were doing their version of car crash TV, and that's why we had a wrestling boom. Now, when it's actually just wrestling, and people enjoy watching wrestling for wrestling, we might not ever get that other boom.
But there is also, that group of audience or that desire hasn't gone away. You've got Love Island and The Real World and Big Brother, all those things. So
I'm sure, does Big Brother still
some
go?
of those are outdated references. Anyway, so here's the example that we're kicking off with of the very definitely Paul Heyman led, and also very definitely crap pieces of booking. So, sort of in the second hour of the show, the Street Profits are backstage. They're hosting the gender reveal party for Mike and Maria Kanellis' baby. This segment alone got more plugging than NXT launching live on the USA Network this Wednesday.
Well, you've got to spend time on the important things.
Why didn't you set up an angle to feed into Wednesday? Because it's the Triple H expanded universe and they're my toys over here. It's just, boom. They have dropped a ball on the promotion of that show. I can't believe it, considering how over-egging of promotion they are for other things. Anyway, on a tangent. The Street Profits are hosting this party skit. There's a bunch of nobodies backstage and Ricochet.
It's all the 24/7 geeks and Ricochet.
And then Maria says it's going to be a baby boy.
Yeah, it was a very much a... The actual gender reveal was the least interesting thing about this, because she just came in and went, it's a boy. And everyone went, hey! As opposed to, like, here's some build and suspense to it.
Yeah, and then she said to Mike, but you're not the father. Ricochet is.
Yeah, so this is... When she did it, because this is a storyline that's been picked back up after 2 or so months of not being talked about at all.
Completely dropped.
But now we're now like, oh yeah, we're going to pick up that Mike and Maria storyline again that everyone was really craving.
Which was a definite Paul Heyman thing.
Yes.
Like that's reported.
Yeah.
All of that stuff and the shock stuff, which didn't go down well when it first started, was Paul Heyman stuff.
Yes. So they now decided to pick this back up again. But during the original run of this, Maria did say that Mike Kanellis was not man enough to impregnate her. So a lot of people said, oh, he's not the father. I took that as she was just insulting him, and he is still the father. But no, the storyline is that everyone was right. He's not the father, and she has now definitely confirmed that he's not the father because she said, it's Ricochet. And Ricochet was like, it's not me, I'm not the father, I wouldn't do that. Well, I mean, I would, but I'm not going to. Poor old Katie Catanzaro is watching at home going like, what?
Yeah.
And then they go out and Mike challenges him to a match. And this was a very, very bizarre line. Dawkins, thankful that it wasn't him, start off with.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people be sniffy of the humour that came in this segment.
Because
I
the
thought
line
it
came
was
after.
good.
Well, the line afterwards did make me laugh.
Yeah, it's
which
a really
was,
good joke.
They could have a Maria on a pole match, and Montez Ford said, well, that's how we got here in the first place.
Yeah, well, it's like we can have a baby on the pole match and no Maria, and then into that. And that was like, I've seen a few reviews go, those jokes have no place in 2019. I'm like, Maria's character is that pretty much. And they're making a joke about that. Just like you could do a joke the opposite way on a guy.
Yeah.
And that, like, to say that's... And it's also a very funny joke.
Made me laugh.
Yeah. And it got... And,
I didn't see it coming.
And, you know, if that was given to someone who's not very good at comedy to deliver, maybe I'd feel differently. But the fact of the matter is, the Street Profits are excellent at delivering this sort of stuff. Completely fits with Dawkins' character.
Yeah.
That guy is a horny man.
Oh, he is so horny.
Yeah.
Such a horny man. So then we got the match between Mike Kanellis and Ricochet. Michael Cole throughout this was praising Ricochet for sleeping with Maria.
Yeah.
Just like, well done, you.
Which would be great if it was Joey Styles, but that isn't Michael Cole's thing.
Cole.
I don't want to hear Michael Cole ever remind me that he's got a penis, you know?
But this was just a big joke to the commentators, who were just laughing uproariously amongst themselves, not really paying attention to the match. They were just making jokes amongst themselves, and Ricochet won with the recoil.
Yeah, and Ricochet was actually very good here, I thought. He told the physicality of, I don't want to beat you, man. I know this is Maria just manipulating you. And that's a really difficult babyface thing to pull off. I thought he managed it very well.
Yeah, I thought he was actually very good in that as well. And then we went to a different segment with Bray Wyatt, and then we came back, and Mike's still in the ring. This has been given so much time, so much airtime for this episode. Mike's still in the ring. Maria says, I told you Ricochet was the father because I thought that would motivate you. Again, insinuating that he is still the father. But then said, but here's the real father. And who was that real father?
It was Rusev. So after not appearing since April, where he was in the 51-man Battle Royal for Super Showdown, so not even a featured thing, and many reports of him and Lana being unhappy, that their contracts are up soon.
I mean, they've been very vocal about how they've been unhappy. Basically, every podcast interview they've ever done is like, this company's awful, and I do not like it here.
Yeah, and Brad Shepard's saying they're re-signed, and Rusev is like, I'm not re-signed, mate.
Yeah, Brad Shepard go pressing tweets.
Yeah, and then they choose now to have him return. And it's just such an odd choice, and it fell completely flat because Rusev comes out. First of all, he looks great. He's got a mustache. He's stuck with that look, which is just awesome anyway. But just physically, the guy looks like he's lost 20, 30 pounds.
He looks amazing.
Not that he was ever out of shape, but he has leaned up considerably. He's more, I don't know, maybe body shape-wise for his character. I prefer him a bit bulkier. But like you can't fault the guy's commitment to training here. But he comes out, and usually, if there's any kind of WWE return, people pop big. And then they're like, oh yeah, don't mind now. And Rusev is one of those guys who hasn't been around for this amount of time. Same amount of time as Sasha Banks, roughly. Same amount of time as Luke Harper. And he's a beloved character, really, with the Rusev-based stuff. So you'd expect the crowd to react.
Yeah, there was a couple of chants of Rusev Day during the ensuing match that they had.
But he comes out to pretty much crickets because, as I think they were asking the same things I was, why is he out there with Maria? Does that mean he had sex with Maria? And where's Lana?
They did bring up Lana on commentary. They said, conspicuous by her absence, where's Lana?
Well, that's not good enough.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And also, a Maria and Rusev partnership does not work for me because then, so Rusev goes down the ring and beats up Mike Kanellis around ringside, and Maria's just standing there like at the top of the round going like, yes, you do that, father of my child. And then then it turned into a match, and then match kick, camel clutch, and Rusev won. But my notes here have written is like, is this real? Is this real life? Because this
or is this just fantasy?
Yeah, I mean, caught in a landslide is what bloody Rusev is in his career trajectory. This was a bad day for Rusev. This is a bad return, and it slots him at completely the wrong place on the card. This is a man who should be in your top echelon of wrestlers, and they just consistently slot him in that lower mid-card place and just have no F's to give about him.
Yeah, it's really damaging. This is one of the really significant problems with this episode of Raw, because, okay, you have a bad match, you botch a segment, that's just bad. When you cut the legs out from underneath someone who has so much potential and will damage their career, that's unforgivable in my eyes. That's the stuff I hate more than anything else. We'll talk about it as well with Cedric Alexander. So it's just, I do not know what they were thinking. I just don't. What I think is going to happen next week, Rusev is just going to be a monster that destroys people. He's not going to have any affiliation with the Kanellis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
so. You don't think there's going to be a manager? Then why was Maria up on the ramp nodding approvingly?
It's just a way to give Rusev a return.
So is he the father then?
No, I don't think that's anything to do with it. And they just thought, we'll put Rusev return in here. Which, like you said, slots him in at that mid-card level, under mid-card, really. Undercard stuff, if you're with the Kanellis. Sure, Mike had a fun line of, well, if you're the father, actually, I'm okay with it. Yeah. Because he was scared of him. But overall, this segment was really, really crap and ultimately damaging to Rusev.
And then should we go through the Corey Graves line?
Yeah, so Corey called Mike a beta cuck, and that all the commentary team were making fun of Mike, effectively saying versions of that. So it's just like
that is tone deaf writing. Whether he said that on his own, which is bad, but it's worse if it was written for him and fed to him by someone else, and then he said it.
Well, to be honest, I can't sit here and say I enjoyed the Maria on a pole joke and then condemn that line, because that would be hypocritical. I think they're both in the same thing.
I don't think that's hypocritical.
Well, you look at this segment and how the characters are. Mike is a cuckold. He said there, oh yeah, if it was you, I'm glad you had sex. I'm glad you had sex with my wife. That you can't get more literally a cuckold than
Perhaps
that.
You're right. Yeah,
really. Yeah. So like, I can't. If I'm gonna defend the Maria on a pole match,
I think the two are wildly different, though.
How?
Well, I think one of them is a joke. The other one is being used as a insult, and it's an insult that is used by all the worst parts of the internet community, which, as a sort of almost justifies the stupid things that they say. So I don't think it was being done as like he is a cuckold. It's just like, oh no, he is a lower male, and I'm going to use that as a stupid. I might as well have called him a soy boy for the idiocy that it sounded like. So I think the two are wildly different, personally.
It's literally what the word means.
No, but that's not what he was using it for, though. He wasn't using it in the literal sense.
I mean, I guess you could argue that he wasn't, but he was saying it when Mike had just said, "I'm happy you slept with my wife."
I think we'll agree to disagree on this one. I don't think they were using it for that term because, I mean, people have been calling him a cuck since he started because he took on her name, which is not what a cuckold does. But I think they were using it for the other version of it.
To
pop the darker areas of the YouTube
that was
comments.
my take on it, as opposed to using the literal sense of it, because it's one of those words that has lost all meaning, like the word clickbait has lost all meaning for what it actually was designed to use, or cancel culture has lost all meaning.
Well, what do you guys think about Rusev's return? Let's check in on the super chats.
So we've got an awful lot about Rusev in this entire angle, so we'll just do some of them for now and the rest later. We'll start with Matthew Muldoon, who said, what if the story becomes who is Rusev sleeping with backstage instead of who is the father of Maria's baby, Bulgarian Val Venus?
He's got the look with the tash, put a towel round the guy.
Absolutely. It looks great.
Josh Paulson says, your headline is the understatement of the year.
My hairline.
No,
the
headline.
My headline. Sorry.
The headline.
God, I just hear insults everywhere.
Saying WWE BOTCH Rusev return.
We didn't want to say ruin. We've used that a lot recently.
Yeah.
Didn't you suggest, Chopper, that we say effing botch or something?
They completely screwed up. It was an S show, etc.
Bulgarian
Yes.
bull S. Yeah,
I think yours was Bulgarian balls up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nikhail Biznath said, should Micah Maria appear on Maury? Is that a show in US?
Yeah,
is that like a Jeremy Kyle?
It's like a Jeremy Kyle thing.
Yeah.
Well, this is soap opera stuff. And I like soap opera stuff. I mean, if you look at it from a YouTube thumbnail WWE channel thing, who is Maria's baby's father? You know, I'm not against all that stuff. I think that's quite fun stories. But yeah, this really damaged Rusev. That's the problem I've got with it.
Zach Icon Lintner said, Rusev mustache break, please.
Oh, it's coming in the video later on. But not a big one, because it was a sad one.
We got sent one.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it's very good. Very, very good.
And Runs for Jen shares similar feelings, saying, time for Rusev mustache break, which, as you said, is coming later. Angel Torres says, so how do you like the porno Rusev gimmick?
Love it. Love that tash. I always love a tash.
Tashes are amazing.
That sentiment is not shared by Marcus Roman, though, who says, I don't like Rusev's new look. He looks like he could be from Narcos.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he, a bit? I mean, I think he does look better with the full beard for that character, but, maybe it'll grow on me. I do think he looks awesome still, though. I'm
just saying that there have been 3 people who have recently had, I say recently, one of them was a number of years ago, but remember when Cody Rhodes had a mustache for a bit? That got him over. Robert Roode, debut with a mustache, that got him over for a couple of weeks. I'm just saying, it's the way to get over these days, is to have a good-looking tash. That's why Don Fry was so good in UFC.
Chase and Carrie Harmon said, if Rusev and Lana weren't on the way out prior... ...
Oh, they've re-signed, and this is the 3-week push.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, God, he's re-signed. He's getting instant karma for doing so.
Yeah.
Kevin said, Casey Catanzaro and Lana must have had a good time watching the whole thing.
Yeah, Casey Catanzaro did tweet about it, because she knew that Maria was lying. And she's like challenging her to a match, which I think is unfair. She is pregnant.
And then finally, for now, before we get into the rest of the show, Graham Scrivener said, Rusev is Freddie Mercury jacked.
Yeah. Is there a pun there? Shreddy Mercury?
Oh, there it is. He's got it.
Right,
That's how quick he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Where's the magazine?
Oh,
Let's plug the magazine again because it goes in shops in 2 days' time in the UK. Don't worry if you don't live in the UK, though, because you can get your issue from WrestleTalk.BigCartel.com and pre-order that now. It's gorgeous.
Nice little bit here in the news about CM Punk criticizes AEW EVP Cody Rhodes for trying to do business with him via text message. Because as we all know from CM Punk, You've given me a time, a date, a place, and the amount of money, but that's not an offer.
I just don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, sorry, and here's also the angle that you're going to do.
Right, so the full episode of Raw. This is going to be a pendulum swing, I think, that because it was pretty much, I love this segment, I hate this segment, I love this segment. We start off with all that condensed into one. Seth Rollins walks out, smile on his face.
Smiling on his face instantly put me in a bad mood.
Yeah, and he walks into the ring and he goes, John, and effectively recaps the pay-per-view, which shouldn't be your top babyface's role. That should be the job of the announcers team.
Or a video package.
Yeah, when you give that stuff to Seth, it makes him so lame. And he's talking, he's like, oh, but props to Braun Strowman. Michael Cole isn't doing him any favors, calling him the Monster Slayer on commentary. And I was like, Christ alive, I'm going to have to start seeing that on his Titantron now.
Be Fiend Slayer next.
Yeah, he should have come out really angry.
Yep.
This is what happened last night. The Fiend attacked me at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And then just go, I'm calling you out right now, Bray Wyatt. I haven't got time for your nonsense cosplay crap. Maybe not say that, but, with that sentiment.
Rather than coming out and being like, man, what a night I had on Sunday, eh? I had to defend my tag team title. It's like, it's not the point here, Seth. Get to the point, mate. There are bigger fish to fry than you talking about the tag titles that I don't think you particularly cared about in the first place.
No. Thankfully, Firefly Funhouse then hit.
Yes.
And this segment went to 11 because everything on this show that Bray Wyatt touched was freaking gold. He is onto something. WWE know he's onto something. And they're really, really smartly using him, just dropping him in just at the right moments, I feel. They're not overexposing him. They're still making me want more all the time. The treatment of him has been perfect. And what we had here was Bray appear on the screen, again, adding a little bit of mythology, to a little bit more to his mythology by saying, oh, it's my best friend Seth Rollins. And he's got, later on a friend wall,
Yep.
and it has all the people the Fiend has taken out with their eyes crossed out.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm so glad you're okay. What the Fiend did to you was really, really bad.
It's so captivating and interesting.
And then Rambling Rabbit, pops up and just starts screaming at Seth to run.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here. You need to run now.
And Bray's like, get out of here to Rambling Rabbit.
Yep.
And then Seth Rollins, and I think this is really significant. I'm sorry if it's happened before. I couldn't think of an example because Finn Balor would just stare gormlessly at the screen whenever a skit played. But Seth Rollins interrupted Bray and said, you're a sicko. You're a sick man. And then Bray that's when Rambling Rabbit jumped up. And I that marks the first time that someone has interacted with the Firefly Funhouse world, and it just makes it so much better. Because up until now, everyone's been like, there's Firefly Funhouse, I don't really know how to deal with it. Shall I address what just happened? Is it existing in its own world? I don't know. But Seth probably called out Bray, called him a sicko, and that's so useful because now I'm like, yeah, he is a sicko.
Yeah.
He's not the coolest guy. Well, he is the coolest guy, but he is also a sicko, and it got me into both sides of the feud.
And Bray's great promo continued when he said that, hey, I've made mistakes. So have you, Seth. You've made mistakes. But do you know what friends do? Friends forgive. But the Fiend can't forgive. And
it's so awesome.
And that's why he had to say hello to you at Clash of Champions. I love that, because Bray's this Mr. Rogers style character, he had to say hello to you. Not I had to give you the mandible claw and lay you out with crazy violins playing. He had to say hello.
Yeah.
A nice friendly hello from the Fiend.
All right, mate. Hi, Luke. So, do you think this was live? Or do you think this was a pre-tape that they left a gap in for Seth to interact? Because
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Up until now, I would say all of Bray's stuff has been pre-filmed in the day and played as a VT.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this could have been live backstage, and they just add the sound effects in.
Yeah, I think that.
As they go, and then that gives Seth time to respond, and that would mark quite a distinct backstage production change in how they do these, which makes it a lot more vibrant.
Which they had to do, really, because you couldn't do all of it pre-taped.
No.
Like when you were doing the first run of Firefly Funhouse, when we're just going to do a new episode every week, you had the time to be able to produce them and get them all ready. But now, as a on-screen character and as a recurring on-screen character, he is going to have to start doing stuff live in the day.
And about 2 weeks ago, I think, I said I was worried about that change coming because I felt like more people would have their creative input. It would dilute Bray down. I just got freaked out by one of the episodes where they put the Fiend's face over Bray's face.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's a bit cheesy and not subtle like they've done before. So it's enormously comforting to see them make this change, and it's still excellent.
Oh, and it is so good. And he said, the Fiend might have more to say tonight. And then there's a long pause. He goes, toodles.
Yeah. See ya.
See ya.
See ya. See you in hell. He's so good when he does that.
And then all the graphics were upside down.
Well, sorry, just before that, the crowd popped huge when Bray said the Fiend might be there tonight.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, the days of pops for announcements like that haven't been around for a while. Like, you just get a, yay, got this match coming up later. This was a genuine excitement. Oh my God, he's going to be here.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, one of the loudest pops ever, Solomonster always talks about it, was when I think Linda McMahon said that Stone Cold Steve Austin would be on the show next week.
Yeah.
And it got like this sustained 2-minute super pop.
Yeah.
And you're like, that doesn't happen these days. Entrances, when the people are actually there, don't get those kinds of pops. But Bray is so over right now. The Fiend is so over that everyone was excited at the prospect of seeing him. Not confirmation, the prospect.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting.
Yeah, and it started like a show-long run of Bray Wyatt segments. But yeah, all the graphics were then upside down. So initially, I think a lot of people thought that this was a production error. But Renee was like, why are all the graphics upside down? And then there was sort of a bit of a pause, almost as if like they were acknowledging that there was an error. But you have a theory on what this is.
Oh, yeah. I think that's confirmed by the end of the show. That was foreshadowing the end sequence, which was the Firefly Funhouse credits played for 90 seconds. It was for ages. I loved it. Some people were like, well, they had time to fill. I'm like, no, go full into the weirdness here.
Got to hear the second verse.
Yeah. And the Fiend appears at the end of the show, lays out Kane, and just terrifies Seth Rollins. And that's you go off-air shot. And then the last 90 seconds are the Firefly Funhouse credits, but they distort, they flip upside down. I think that those upcoming match graphics of it being upside down was definitely intentional. It foreshadows this bit at the end. This, if I'm to fantasy book this, and I think this is where they're going based on this is the start of the Firefly Funhouse slowly taking over Raw's production and feel. So maybe next week, I think you had the really good idea of the match graphics are like drawn, like the Firefly Funhouse style. Yeah. And then by the time you get to the Go Home show, the whole of Raw is a Firefly Funhouse episode, and the commentators are like, we don't know how this is happening. And I guess like logically you sit back and you go, well, how is Bray in control of the graphics? And the worst thing they can do here is make it up to a supernatural thing. I think, you watch a slasher movie and the psychopathic killer has a lot of access to things to freak people out and play mind games.
There are those who believe that Jason can teleport.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
But
the point I was going to make was a lot of people believe that he can teleport, whereas my rationale was like, no, he doesn't teleport. He knows the woods so well that he can just get around them quicker than anyone else can.
Yeah. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt and theorizing that Bray is tormenting production people to do this for him because it's part of a larger plan to destroy Seth. And I am freaking excited. I'm all in for that.
I think the idea of a Firefly Funhouse-centric Raw is an exciting prospect. It also fills me slightly with dread because it's like, that might be one step too far. But the mere prospect of it and the prospect that you've been poising here he's going to be just sort of slowly taking over Raw. This upside-down graphics was the start of it. The outro credits at the end was the next step. That does kind of excite me a little bit. And this sort of like this omnipresence just overshadowing. It's like the upside down trying to take over Hawkins in real life.
Yeah, and totally understandable to be sort of worried about it because WWE do not have a good track record. But do you know who has? Bray Wyatt. Has he put a step wrong since this Fiend character debuted? I guess at the start when it was just the rocking puppets.
I look back on those now. And
I know.
But I liked all of it. I just think they ran it slightly too long.
Yeah. But like overall, this is a unprecedented amount of critical success, I would say. So very exciting stuff. Then we cut backstage. Braun Strowman tells Charlie Caruso, the next guy in this ring is going to get these hands. These hands.
And then Rude and Ziggler came out and I was like, oh no.
Oh, but it got worse.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, that means Rude and Ziggler are going to be made to look like complete chumps. They just won the tag belts. That's stupid. Then the Revival came and I was like, lads, you can't do this, surely.
It was a tag title summit where they all got to celebrate in the ring because they're heels. And of course, Braun Strowman came down. And I say in my review later, literally and figuratively ran over the tag division on both brands.
Scott Dawson tweeted out, when are we going to learn that we can't beat up Braun Strowman?
This is terrible. Like, as if the last 4 weeks weren't enough with Braun and Seth undermining the tag division and like completely gutting it. I just thought we were going to put a full stop on that, and now we're back to it being okay. But no, the tag division looks like a joke.
Yeah, and then we got Cross and Bliss backstage with coffee and made fun of Sasha Banks, saying that they're true champions and they're going to show it tonight.
And then the sort of rubbish undermining of stuff continued with the OC taking on Cedric Alexander and the Viking Raiders, something that was sort of set up the previous week, and of course AJ just squashed. I think we can quite safely say Cedric on the Cock pre-show. They got a 6-man tag here with he teamed with the Viking Raiders.
Cedric came out to no reaction whatsoever, by the way.
Who did?
Cedric.
Yeah, because...
why would he?
Yeah, they're flattening him out. And it was a funnish match. I was when I was watching it, I was like, well, how can I get into Cedric now? AJ's already beaten him.
And they kept saying, oh, Cedric's a future champion in this company. Like, he's going to win so many titles in this company, but he was not the better man against AJ Styles. And I'm like, no, he was a terrible man against AJ Styles. He looked absolutely rubbish. And then he just lost here again.
Yeah.
And then got beaten up after the match.
Phenomenal forearm from AJ. He pins Cedric. Then AJ continues to beat him up after the match. Cedric starts to come back, and I'm like, I'm past this anyway. But okay, Cedric's going to make a comeback and stand tall here. Not even that! AJ Styles hits an Avalanche Styles clash, and that's it. Alexander has been, for whatever reason, completely buried.
No, I'm going to read this out because I actually had a message just before we came out on air. Someone's almost defending this ever so slightly.
Oh, this is indefensible.
Say that I wouldn't say... where's the message? I know there are reports that Vince wanted Cedric buried, but at the same time, Cedric took most of the offense in their tag match before he got pinned and then fought back before taking the Styles Clash. That doesn't exactly seem like a burial to me. And then said... and I said, well, he still lost.
I don't remember the comebacks.
Quite convincingly.
Yeah.
And he said, I wouldn't say AJ only got the pin on Cedric because Cedric was taking out the OC and didn't realize that AJ was tagged in. And the commentary was putting over how Cedric seemed more vicious towards AJ, like their feud was set to continue. It just wouldn't make any sense to say he's getting buried. But commentary said, and I quote, Cedric has aggression befitting a future champion.
Michael Cole says, what a moment, all the time. That doesn't make it a moment. I just... Look, good for you, you're into this. Me, I think this is awful, and it's completely flattened out Cedric. And they've ruined him. And it's going to take months of rebuilding if they want to try and rebuild him, which I don't think they will. And that's profoundly depressing.
My worry is that they do think that this is working, and it's the Daniel Bryan... Oh, we just keep beating him and beating him and beating him, and they get over because of that. Whereas what they forget is that Daniel Bryan got over in spite of their terrible booking of him in that summer period.
Thankfully, we can shift gears now, because I love the next thing. It was one of those bits that ran throughout the night. The 24/7 title, R-Truth, is in Knoxville, Tennessee, and someone is a mayor of Knox County in that same state. It's Glenn Jacobs.
A.K.A. Kane.
And R-Truth and Carmella go to like a Hall of Fame place.
They were in a museum.
Yeah.
I wrote down, I don't know what museum it was.
I think it was like the women's basketball.
There was a big basketball
thing
on the ceiling, I believe. On the ceiling, on the roof.
Anyway, there was some truth comedy. There was Carmella doing the, this is so funny. And then there's Glenn Jacobs, who was perfect.
So good. And he's like, do you remember me? And he said, yeah, you're Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Which did make me laugh. And he says, I want to show you around this great city because I'm the mayor here. I've got a limo outside waiting for us. And Trish's like, that sounds like fun. And then Carmella's already worked all of this out, so she's giving Kane the shifty eyes. And I thought I was like, hey, I can't wait to see where the next segment of this.
Yeah, very good. And then the goodness continued with the King of the Ring final between Chad Gable and Baron Corbin. I would be even higher on this if it wasn't just... If it hadn't just so obviously become an afterthought for this company.
Oh, yeah. I think by the end of week 1, we should have seen that this was a joke tournament. We did initially say... I initially said at the start that it would be a joke tournament because it's got a joke gimmick at the end of it where you get the crown and scepter and everything. And some people have brought me up on this saying, like, well, it wasn't a joke when Brock Lesnar won. It was like, well, yeah, Brock Lesnar didn't wear a crown. He just won a tournament that made him the best wrestler in the company. Same when Kurt Angle won it. He was just like, oh, yeah, you're the best one now. And you get a future title shot. This was very much, no, you are going to you get to become a cartoon character at the end of this. And I think a few people thought this was going to be WWE doing a G1.
And there were moments in there, we worked it out, it was over 50% of very good matches.
But when you compare that to the G1...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I think people thought this was going to be. When you look at the amount of talent in this tournament, this could be like every week we get a 5-star match or a 4.5-star match or something along those lines. But in reality, what we got was a lot of 3.5-star matches that were very good for television. And... yeah, by the end of week 1, I think most people had worked out, oh, no, this is not being taken seriously. It's mostly just angles and, not there for wrestling.
Yeah, well, the problem was this took a considerable knock in prestige because it was originally meant to be, the finals were meant to be at Cock, and then it was bumped to Raw, and then I thought, well, it could be a main event. It's not a main event. It wasn't even the second hour main event. It was the first hour match. And it just really, like, that placement just tells me as a viewer, oh, I don't have to care about this.
I also... I'm going to get onto the positives very, very shortly, but my last negative for this is because of the way the tournament has been booked and structured, for me, the Chad Gable Cinderella story has not worked.
Yeah.
And I think if this had been a better told tournament, this Chad Gable final could have been a really, really big deal.
Oh, yeah.
As it stands, it just felt like it was any old match on Raw. At the end of it, you get a crown. But with that out the way, this was a terrific match. Baron Corbin has been the MVP of this tournament. And I'm super glad he won.
Yeah. And isolated from all that other stuff, in ring, this was corking. I was talking to Luke before we came in here, and I said, you know what, I'll save this for the show. Because... we watch this very early in the morning. We get up and we watch Raw, and then we come in and we make all our notes and stuff. So I'm there at 7 a.m. watching this episode, this match. My girlfriend's asleep. By the end, I am legit yelling. I don't usually yell at the screen for things, especially at that time. I was yelling, tap, tap, tap. I was completely absorbed by this. Great moment where where Chad locks in the grapevine ankle lock on Baron.
I bought into that as the finish.
Oh,
I was like, Corbin's going to tap it because they'd worked over the leg and he'd wrapped it around the post. I was like, this is it. This is where it's going to happen.
There was a bit shortly before where, he said, you're my height now to Corbin. And of course, there's so much context there with Kurt Angle earlier in the year. The ankle lock. Baron unfairly retired him in his last match, and now he's going to tap to the Chad Gable ankle lock. But I love the grapevine. And then, he was reaching, and he got it, and then Baron turned it round, hit the end of days. I yelled, no! Like that. 1, 2, 3, Baron wins. I was, I was worked so hard by this match. And at the end of it, even though the heel won, I'm not like, oh, I was cheated there. I was like, damn, that was enjoyable. And that's no higher, sort of praise for a match like this.
I thought it was a really, really good final to this tournament. Yeah. I thought Corbin looked great, and it's funny actually. Someone sent us a clip of a video that we did a few weeks back. It was when Sasha returned, and they sent in a super chat saying Baron Corbin's going to win, and our reaction was, "Oh, that sounds awful." And we had said in the first time when we talked about the King of the Ring tournament, he's either going to be out first round or he's winning the whole thing. And I think we said that he was going to be out first round when we were still under the pretense that it was going to be a tournament based around wrestling. But really, at the end of the day, this was the right choice. He was completely the person that should have won this tournament.
And not just because it suits his gimmick so well. He has stepped up. Like, as a performer, he has leveled up. Remember, before this tournament started, he had a month off. And that month, like before that month off, he was one of the worst things in the company. Not necessarily because of him, but just the way he was over-pushed and he just bared over everything. But since coming back, he has settled into this mid-card heel role, and he is so goddamn effective.
It's the right level for him. It's what we've always said on this show. He's not the problem. It's the over-pushing that was the problem. He shouldn't be in that Universal Championship picture. But as a mid-card heel, he's so good at it. It's The Miz. The Miz shouldn't be a WWE champion. The Miz is a great mid-card heel.
Yeah.
And Baron Corbin slots into that role perfectly.
Yeah. Also, I got real Daniel Bryan, Brock Lesnar vibes from this match. You know, where the first 10 minutes, it's just the heel dominating. But then Chad started to come back. I thought this was absolutely terrific. I don't know where Gable goes from here.
Or Shorty G.
Yeah.
Or just not on TV.
Hopefully to AEW. I think that. Or go to NXT. Maybe that's a better use of him. He's going to get lost on the main roster again.
Yeah.
Then we got the whole Kanellis and Rusev stuff. Bray was in the middle there with a skit hanging up photos of his friends.
The wall of friendship. It's like Jerry Lawler and Finn Balor and Foley and Angle. And yeah, he's just like, there's a person I need to hang up here. I've got a new friend to add to the wall. So that was a nice touch. There was also a minute here I thought we were going to get a video package for NXT. I was wrong.
No. They did this a few times where they started talking about how great NXT is. And then that's it. They throw to something more important, as opposed to a big announcement. The only thing I would change about this wall of friendship is that everyone he's taken out had their eyes quite gruesomely crossed out with red. Seth hasn't been taken out properly yet.
Well, he got taken out at Clash of Champions.
But not properly. Everyone else has just sort of disappeared from TV.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So I would have no crosses on the eyes. Very, very minor, though. That's just what I would have fed back if me and Bray were bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah.
That would be my feedback.
We heard more with Kane and Truth. They were at the stadium for the Volunteers, the Knoxville Volunteers or Knox County Volunteers.
Tennessee, probably.
Tennessee Volunteers. I don't know, to be honest. But I was thinking, I got slightly distracted on this because I obviously don't know a lot about the American sports or British sports for that matter. But if it's not past the 1990s, or if it is past the 1990s rather. But one of my favorite things about American sports are the names. Like here, it's the town you're in. You're Manchester City.
Club.
You're just the club.
Yeah.
Where are you from? Well, the team's based in Arsenal. Well, you're Arsenal then. Where's your team? We're in Tottenham. Well, you're Tottenham then. We're West Ham. You're West Ham. Whereas in America, it's like it's the Titans. It's the Bald Eagles. It's these sorts of things. And I was like, we don't have like the Merseyside Liverbirds. It's just Liverpool. And maybe that's what's missing.
Oh yeah,
in British football.
More pizzazz.
More pizzazz.
More pro wrestling. So they were in that, and this was a really funny skit. I thought Glenn Jacobs again he's so good at comedy.
And Truth was really good. He kept calling Kane Mr. President, which I thought was so good because he's in a suit, so of course he's the president.
This guy comes out. He's
a police officer.
Yeah, police officer, but he's also a referee. Truth realizes what's up.
He runs it, and he runs into the. I can see it there. And he runs into the goal triangle, and Kane pins him as the 24/7 champ and shouts, "I've still got it!"
So funny.
That's great.
And runs off. It was great, yeah.
And then Cole buried the football team because of it.
Then it was announced that Baron Corbin would have his coronation ceremony on SmackDown.
Yeah, that would be my main criticism against the King of the Ring, because I thought they did such a good job of the match, and then there was like no aftermath to it. He just walked up the ramp and they just cut to something else.
Yeah, and he didn't even get to sit on the throne.
No.
It just cut away. Then we got Rey Mysterio versus Cesaro, still continuing this Rey redemption arc. Not redemption, but, comeback. What would you call
it's a comeback, because he was going to retire and Dominic convinced him to stay.
This was great. I loved it.
Really
solid
good.
TV match. Cesaro's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Rey won.
Yeah, I've got nothing else, but it's very, very good. Really, really good match.
Then we got some more Bray hanging up the wall of friendship. Then the commentators start pushing the draft, an off that which will happen October 11th and 14th, so the second week of SmackDown on Fox. And then they ran a video package for Who Are AOP.
I really like this. Yeah, this was great. I really, really like this. It's AOP sat there in suit, look amazing. Just look like super serious. Doesn't really fit their gimmick, but they just look like super serious MMA fighters.
Yeah.
And they cut promos in their own languages. And that was really, really awesome. It's subtitled. That's good. That is treating your audience with respect. That it's not like, well, our audience are thick as anything, so they can't read. God, they'll switch over. They'll change the channel, which I do feel that Hollywood and sort of like TV bigwigs do think of American audiences. Like, oh God, if we ask them to read, they'll just flick over to watch something else.
Give it 2 weeks. Sami Zayn will be out there with him.
That'd be Paige. Paige here. AOP here. But they cut promos in their own languages and said that they haven't had a match since WrestleMania. And it's like when they were in MMA. People were too scared to fight them. They couldn't make any money as mixed martial artists because people were afraid to fight them. The tag division is soft, and they're going to write the book of pain on everyone. Although they did say they haven't had a match since WrestleMania. I was like, well, what about the Battle Royal, guys? The super important Battle Royal over in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Well, this was really good. Like, at the end of it, I was like, well, just put Paul Ellering with them. This would be much better. But you know what? I didn't mind this.
No, I liked it.
If they can talk in their own languages, I think it's more intimidating.
If they can stick with it.
Yeah. So then we got Sasha Banks and Bayley taking on the women's tag team champions.
We got a bit
Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Got a bit of character work here from Michael Cole.
Ooh.
Because he went, it's boss time. Corey's like, you used to be so excited to say that, and he was like, she's really upset me.
She's really just isn't in it anymore.
Really disappointed me with those actions. So we're still getting boss time. It's now, it's boss time.
Also, did you notice Bayley doesn't inflate the tube men until people cheer for her?
Yeah.
That's nice as well.
It's good.
Sort of misguided.
Yeah.
So this was an okay match. It was mostly based around Bayley taking out Alexa's leg on the steel steps, which looked pretty good. And then it was just Nikki Cross in a 2-on-1 handicap match.
Valiantly trying to fight back against the two heels. I think we can now officially say Alexa and Nikki are babyfaces. They've been consistently babyfaces now, I think, for 2 weeks. And that's the longest run they've had. It might even be longer than that.
She's going to bury the hometown on SmackDown tonight, now you've said that.
Quite possibly. So I am comfortably saying they are now babyfaces.
Okay, yeah. And Nikki Cross worked that way terrifically here. I thought she was really good with her comeback.
Yeah,
bought into her.
Trapping Sasha in the apron, and then still doing the drop kick on her as well when she was beating up Bayley. And then she was like, I've got to take out the other one again. I thought that was actually very, very nice.
Now, where this sort of falls down for me is Bayley's being booked really weakly. She's always the weak link since the Bayley-Sasha turn. It's always
she's
Sasha.
been the weak link since she went up to the main roster.
Yeah, but like she,
it's actually in keeping with her character.
She was She is SmackDown Women's Champion. Now she's being booked like someone who can't wrestle. Like suddenly turning heel means she can't win anymore. I guess there's a character side to that, but then after the match, Nikki Cross nearly beat her. It was Sasha Banks that had to pick up the win. Then Becky Lynch runs down, saves Nikki Cross from a Sasha Banks chair down. Showdown. They have it was pretty much they were hitting each other's chairs.
They had a lightsaber fight with chairs.
And then Charlotte's music hit.
It's babyface Charlotte Flair.
Oh, God. And Bayley goes after her with a chair.
Yep.
But Charlotte's heels were so big, she managed to take out Bayley before Bayley could hit her with a chair. Hit the leg with a chair.
Did you see how many steps Charlotte had to take? If you're going out to the ring
ridiculous.
And you know you're going to do a big boot on someone who is running it with a chair, don't wear heels like that because you can't run in them. I have no idea what she was thinking with this.
To make everyone else look small. This is right out of Stephanie's playbook. This is a Triple H move.
But
that's the sort of ilk. That's what she's been raised like.
But she looked dumber for it because she looked like she couldn't walk because she had to take these little tiny steps before hitting the move. She looked like a right doofus.
She looked dumb. Everyone else looked worse.
That's very
because
true, yeah.
she is still towering above them by quite some way.
Yeah, maybe.
Bayley looked stupid. She looked really weak. And Charlotte stood tall at the end of this. And you know what? Sasha's turned heel. Bayley's turned heel. Becky's the man. Somehow, a babyface Charlotte is standing tall at these segments.
I like how you say somehow.
Yeah. Well,
Whereas really it should be, of course, Charlotte's the one that stands tall.
And it's just, it's something to watch because I think it's only going to get worse. Because really, at the end of the day, WWE don't want to push those other three people. They want to push Charlotte.
Yeah. Well, I can see Banks and Bayley getting the tag straps and then leading to the Four Horsemen in a tag match. Becky and Charlotte, the Uneasy Alliance, trying to win the tag titles together.
Yeah, I can see that too. Sasha cut a promo directly into the camera after that, challenging Becky to a rematch at Hell in a Cell. And then Becky accepted. She said she had a $10,000 fine for hitting that referee.
Which she didn't seem bothered about.
Well, it's stupid.
Well, no,
it was obviously an accident. Does everyone get fined that way when there are ref bumps?
Well, I mean, yeah, quite. But also, Kevin Owens, it was a personal slight on him, and it was a big deal. It was a whole storyline's been turned out for it.
Well, it was 10 times more.
But yes, but even at the 10,000, he would have reacted the same way. The key to this, though, is that Becky didn't say she just wanted a rematch at Hell in a Cell. She wanted a rematch inside Hell in a Cell.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have probably mentioned that somewhere.
Yeah, so it's a rematch inside Hell in a Cell.
It's her accent. Can't understand a word.
What she needs is Paige.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to get that PCB
Sami
back
Zayn's
together.
ginger.
But in between that, we got more of Kane. So Kane arrived, I'm guessing, at the hotel or, the president's lot, wherever he stays and lives.
Wasn't it at Monday Night Raw?
No, I thought the Truth
Earlier
was
in the
taking
day.
him to Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, wherever they arrived. But Truth was riding on top of his limo. And Kane gets out of the limo, and Truth jumps up, rolls him up, and pins him, so he gets the championship back again. And Kane grabs him by the throat, and he shoves him up against the car, and he's like, Mr. President, this is a full-time job for you. This belt's a full-time job. You haven't got time to do both of them. And Kane's like, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And let's go with him. He's like, come on, I'll take you to Monday Night Raw. And he's like, God, that choking still hurts. He's like, yeah, sorry, it's just really instinctive.
Kane's amazing.
Really made me laugh. Because now, in this kayfabe world, the mayor of Knox County is someone who instinctively wants to choke people. He is the demon.
So when they said, let's go to Raw, what was your first thought?
I don't know. I didn't think that Kane would come out at the end.
Really?
No.
I was like, oh, okay, so the Fiend's gonna jump him, and that's not a bad thing. I just as soon as they said that,
I didn't see the Kane return coming until the music hit, and I was like, oh, well, that makes a heck of a lot of sense. But in that beatdown, I mean, maybe we'll get to it. I was expecting the Fiend to be the one that comes down and clears house
and save Seth.
Well, because he wants Seth for himself.
Okay, well, let's do so. Next was a match with Lacey Evans and Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke looks like she's completely changed her body type again.
It's the fourth Dana Brooke I think we've had.
Yeah, because they're the different actresses you keep getting cast. And Lacey Evans won with her women's right, but then into a sharpshooter because she's still building some form of feud with Natty. This was pretty good. I think Lacey Evans is really, really improving.
She has this slingshot drop kick that she does.
Yeah, they
which
replayed
is
that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So good. And her sharpshooter, way better than Natalia's.
Yeah, she sat right back on it.
Yeah,
Looked
she
really
looked
good.
great.
Okay, so the main event, though, was Seth Rollins versus Robert Roode. A match that got zero heat because why would you care, really? It's unfortunate because in another universe, this is a major pay-per-view headlining match. But Dolph kept on interfering, and Seth eventually won with a buckle bomb stomp.
Well, he didn't get the win because, Dolph interfered.
Dolph interfered, so he did get the win via DQ.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
And then Dolph and Robert beating him down. If there's a beatdown, you better believe the OC are getting down there.
Yeah.
I love that about them. They're just like,
Yeah. So, someone's being beaten up. Let's go.
Hey,
let's
they're
go in the fun. And then they get in there and we're like, this is brilliant. We're having so much fun together.
And I know it's a bit like just fudging things together, but how the OC keep on interweaving themselves in loads of different sections of Raw, I like it. It makes it feel like they're a big thing.
Yeah.
But the real reason behind this was to get as many bodies in the ring as possible because
Kane's music hits. Kane comes down and he takes out Rude and Dolph and he chokeslams Gallows. He gives a double chokeslam to Anderson and AJ. And he's about to do his taunt and then the lights ka-chung, ka-chung, Ka-chung. Fiend's there. Fiend attacks Kane, gives him the mandible claw, which he can do because Kane's got the silly mask on. And then he stalks Rollins at the end of the show, and Rollins essentially pisses his pants.
Yeah.
And cries in the corner.
My God, Seth's sell job of that was
really good.
Amazing.
See, people be really down on that, saying like, it's not how you should book a world champion. And I'm like, they're not booking him. It's not booking him to look weak. He's scared because the Fiend is a scary character. That's good. It puts over the Fiend.
He was just beaten up by 5 guys, not the restaurant chain.
Just throwing onions at him. How many toppings do you want, Seth?
That'll be £20. I only ordered chips. £20.
Have as many nuts as you want. Anyway, so my
it didn't make him look weak, is what we're trying to say. I really, really thought Seth did a great job, and it really got me more into this feud between them.
Yeah, but in my head, I thought, the Fiend's going to come down, and the Fiend will be the one to clear house, or the Fiend will get in the ring, and everyone will back off from the Fiend because they don't want none. No, they don't want none. And the Fiend just wants Seth all to himself. I felt that they did the Kane thing just for the hometown pop. And if you're going to do the Kane just for the hometown pop, do that earlier in the show.
I see what you're saying. I think this was very good.
I'm not saying it was bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think a more effective way to have done this would have been... Because putting Kane in the main event slot just for the hometown pop, I thought was... It's like bringing out Austin just to get that ratings bump.
And if Fiend didn't then take him out, I'd agree with you. But because it wasn't to get Kane the hometown pop, it was to get the Fiend over.
But the other side of that as well was that Bray said last week that he's only targeting people that have done him wrong in the past. And that's why he wouldn't attack Austin.
Okay, so I can explain that. And I don't know how in-depth, I don't know how much I'm just adding this. But Kane did have the relationship with Seth in the Authority back in the day, and if a lot of Bray's motivation, in fact, this is Cage Side Seats' review of Raw brought this up a lot. It was a very interesting viewpoint. If Bray is very much about redemption and
a revenge,
revenge, and also how sometimes people are forgiven, and the Fiend doesn't think they should be forgiven. Part of Seth's character is, I was in the Authority, now I've come out of that, I'm a better person, burn it down, yada yada. There is a connection there between Kane and Seth. It's almost like Bray is targeting Kane as a way to get to Seth and punish him. I know it's belabored.
You're filling in those gaps.
But that's how good the character is, that I can quite happily sit there and go, that was deep, man. Yeah. And they probably had no intention.
That's what I mean. They had no intention, but we are filling in those gaps for them. I just think if it was focused on Bray and Seth, that would have been better. In my opinion, in my humble opinion.
And then the show finished, but it had 90 seconds, as we said earlier, of the Firefly Funhouse thing going. Now, I was interested. I showed this segment to my lady partner. Lady partner does not like wrestling. And I said, but she is into the Firefly Funhouse stuff, because I've showed it to her, and she's like, that's really cool. And I said, but if you were just flicking around, I'm not home, it's 9 o'clock, you're just flicking around on telly, and you see that Firefly Funhouse thing just going weird and subverting, would you just stop and watch it and see what happened, even if it was wrestling? And she went, yeah, I would actually. And I thought, my God, that's
it.
That's really important to get mainstream viewers. Anyway, I thought overall I gave it an average this episode because I freaking hated some massive parts of it, but The Fiend is so good, it kind of balanced it out to the middle.
I'm in agreement with you. I'd have also given it average. The Fiend's very, very good, and I very much enjoyed Baron Corbin winning King of the Ring. There are a lot of... I do not like the Rusev return. I do not like the Cedric stuff. But there was quite a lot of positive on this show. Average show.
Yeah. So, a long review. That was about an hour there. So, let's get into the Super Chats.
If you'd like another quick link between Bray Wyatt and Kane, Bray Wyatt's first ever, when he came back as Bray Wyatt, not Husky Harris, the first pay-per-view match he had was against Kane in an Inferno match.
Interesting.
So
Of course it was.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bray Wyatt's first, as the character of Bray Wyatt,
As
his
Bray
first match
Wyatt.
against Kane. Was it really?
With the Wyatt family.
On main roster, yeah.
They had an Inferno match.
Mm-hmm.
Bloody hell.
Do you not remember?
No, I do
remember
not.
that now
I do
you
not
say it,
remember that at all.
It's the old noggin there for you. Anyway, the rest of the Super Chats about Rusev we'll get through first. Anthony Foster said, why not have Rusev face AJ for the title on his return?
That'd have been better.
Elijah Whitfield said, what day is today? A poor excuse for a return Rusev day.
Yeah.
Happy Rusev Day, Chopper.
Thanks, man. Graham Scrivener leading on from his Shreddy Mercury joke earlier, saying, Rusev, don't stop him now. He's having such a good time.
A good time with a lovely time with the boys.
Nice.
Almost. Wilson Simon says, I stand by what I said a few weeks ago. Mike and Maria go to marriage counseling and Dr. Shelby wins the 24/7 title.
But they haven't got the 24/7 title.
Yep.
Who cares?
Valab Mamedipudi says, I absolutely loathe the Canella storyline, but at the same time, I don't know how anyone could come out of this looking good. Fantasy booking?
Yeah.
I don't think I could fancy book my way out of this.
Look, Maria could come out looking good of this.
Yeah.
Like, she feels like a star.
If I was to fancy book my way out of this, I would take the WWE tactic of just ignoring it. Just completely dropping it. And the next week, something completely different happens and they make no reference to it.
The Grizzly Gentleman says, if the Canella story was reversed, there would be outrage. Graves saying he looks like a loser and he's weak. It's nice that WWE finds male victims of mental/domestic abuse funny.
I guess that's one reason of it. But I think if you did it the other way, would be Dawkins. You know, Dawkins is sleeping around at the moment. And he's horny.
No, he's not sleeping around at the moment. He just wants to sleep around with everyone. Yeah. He's a single man who is looking to sow some oats. But once he finds a lady that he can settle down with, he'll settle down.
Yeah.
Will Adams, Luke Owen's #1 fan,
cheers, mate,
says Rusev stole Rude's moustache.
Yeah, well, Rude's is bushier, wasn't it? Rusev's a bit thinner. Great styles though. Love
exactly, which is what Robert Roode had the Don Fry mustache.
So good.
The Hagar mustache.
Continuing with moustaches, Sidhesh Mijankar says Rusev deserves mustache breaks from now on.
Yeah, he's taken the mantle. Robert hasn't had it for a while.
We're going to the ones about the King of the Ring now. Vernon Jeffrey says, a valiant effort by Chad Gable, but the mid-card vortex was too strong. All hail King Baron. Also, welcome back Randy Handy-Datson if you're reading the super chat, which he's not. But thanks.
I think the mid-card vortex is now a badge of honor for Barrett.
Yeah.
He's turned it round. He's claimed it.
Danny Trashman DeVito says, can't give Raw a rating of core without Corbin.
Oh,
that's
nice. Good, yeah.
Joseph Gonzalez says, life's been tough lately, but King Corbin gives me a reason to live.
Wow, he's got an
I said this last week. That was the turning point.
New York crowd.
The New York crowd started to cheer him and put him over as the babyface against Samoa Joe and Ricochet. And that was going to be the start of it. And people are now going to be ironically cheering him as the heel.
I'm so into him as a heel. Honestly, I was a kid again. I was so worked by that match and being into who I wanted to win and lose.
It'd been great if it was on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Petty Kruger says Corbin should get an IC title push and be Lord Corbin. Hope you guys have a little bit of the bubbly with the boys. # Corbin versus Chopper for the crown. I'd rather not.
Well, he does go for the US title if he's still on Raw.
I
mean, granted, the revival of SmackDown Tag Champ, so I suppose it doesn't matter too much.
I would love Baron as an Intercontinental Champion.
No, because the Intercontinental Champion comes with a curse where you can't get on TV.
Not when it's Baron.
But I don't know. The pull of the Intercontinental Champion vortex is strong.
Yeah.
Everyone just falls into it.
Headmaster Jonathan Hedman says, describe what you think King Corbin's new wrestling gear will look like if there's any changes. How similar to King Chopper Whoppers will it be?
I think he'll have the same gear, it's just he'll come down with the cape and crown and the scepter.
Yeah, and that will be it. He'll shrug it off his shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he comes out in I can't remember what they're called, but the sort of carriages that people, buff men, hold on their shoulders.
Yeah, I believe they're called palanquins.
Palanquins.
Oh, nerd.
Yep. Connor Shaw says, do you guys think watching the Gable and Corbin match, would it have been match of the night at Cock if it was on the pay-per-view? P.S. Keep up the great work, guys.
You know what?
Probably
it had a good finish.
Yeah.
It went really long.
That big bump that Gable took where he was backdropped into the timekeeper's area and he just clattered with all those chairs. I actually think it might have been, because you wouldn't have had the ad break in there.
Yeah.
Match of the night,
It could have been. Yeah. I mean, Rowan and Roman would have been the most spectacular with the return at the end, but that had a sizable down chunk in the middle. This was great all the way through. So, yeah, you're right. Probably would have been.
We got a whole one about Hell in a Cell. The AdNap 2 says 10 years after the first Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and WWE still can't book a feud to culminate in October.
Yeah, they know when it's happening. I guess, but it makes sense with the Fiend. Like, I think this is all quite nicely playing into the Fiend's character. Hell in a Cell, see you in hell.
But I think it will end the Becky-Sasha storyline, because I think Becky's going to cross to SmackDown.
Now we've got lots about The Fiend. Tristan Thorne said, the Fiend was excellent how he just stalked Seth, and Seth looked terrified. That's how you do a main event scene. More of this, please. Cheers.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I disagree with everyone those who were complaining about it, saying that it made Seth look weak.
The Rocket Dan Van Sky says, there's no way Rollins is retaining at Hell in a Cell, right? Feels like this entire pay-per-view is being designed and geared towards The Fiend.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah,
but
totally.
I'm still worried.
No, I'm putting faith in WWE here. They're going to pull the trigger. This is one of those times where they have listened to the audience. We have actually been the authority for a change, and they are going to go through with this.
Yeah.
I think, and I nearly swore then, they will be effing idiots if they do either a lame finish or a lame duck finish or Seth retains.
DQ in Hell in a Cell.
Could you imagine?
Oh, it's an anniversary show from last year. Oh, I'm really I'm gonna be.
I don't think they can get it wrong.
I'm gonna pop huge when it happens, not just because I'm so happy for the Fiend's character, but just out of relief, because I'm still so worried.
Yeah.
We'll be sitting here in less than a month, just going, "What were they thinking?"
Yeah, we'll be that.
Jump cut.
Yeah, I was going. Prediction for the WrestleRamble title: how WWE botched Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. I think that would probably be worth the expletives in the title for that one.
Risk demonetization just for that.
Zaim Kazi said, Fiend is amazing. Bray should be head of creative.
It's certainly like down the line when he's retired and hanging up the boots, like an agent, space on the creative team. Definitely, he's got such a good mind for this.
I'd like to see him, if I was to put him anywhere, to go down to NXT and work developmental with people, working on their characters and kind of like finding what their character is and who their character means to them. I think that's one of Bray's greatest strengths.
Well, for him, sometimes that doesn't necessarily work, like teaching other people and finding it for other people. But God, yeah, he's so good at it for himself.
The Rocket Dan Van Sky comes in again with back-to-back super chat saying, when do you see us getting Fiend and Taker segment? Feels like the Fiend is the one to finally retire Taker. Kane's segment maybe was a foreshadowing of this.
I think it could happen at Survivor Series earliest. If he wins the title there, big Undertaker match at Survivor Series. I think that'd be great.
Unless it's going to be, if they are going to do Raw versus SmackDown this year, then it's the Fiend versus Kofi. So just so the Raw guys can win again.
And once again, Dan Van Sky says, do you think the awkwardly long Funhouse ending of Raw was to make people think WWE's upside down botch was really the Fiend messing with our TV?
I mean,
totally.
well, you think it's all by design as opposed to it being a botch.
Yeah.
Because people think it was a production error, but you think it was by design.
No. I just if you go back to All In, remember they had that power outage midway through the show, which meant when Chris Jericho appeared with the Pentagon mask later on, it was a big surprise.
Yeah.
But
and the Fozzy tattoo.
Yeah.
Mike Ducharme says, fantasy booking, Fiend wins at Hell in a Cell, holds it till Mania. Balor returns at the Rumble as the Demon and wins it. Fiend versus Demon Balor at WrestleMania.
No, I think, God, I don't even want to think about how you book the Fiend losing the belt. And I don't think Finn's the one to take it off him either.
No, the Fiend Slayer will be.
Kevin comes in to
Or
say,
Roman.
imagine Graves, Cole, and Young replaced by the puppets.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a bit gimmicky, but for a bit it would be very funny.
I mean, but you turned me on to this when someone said, "Do you think we'll get Becky inside Firefly Funhouse?" And you said only as a puppet. And I was like, that's even better. Like if if he has puppet versions of the people that he's going to be feuding with, and you have Bray essentially, interviewing them inside the Firefly, I'd be well up for that.
Justin Borley said, "Is WWE actually building the Fiend as a star?"
They already have.
Yeah.
He is a star. And that is credit to WWE. They have not overexposed him. They have kept him just the right amount.
Well done, WWE. You haven't screwed it up
Yet. Garrett Lippy says,
so negative.
"Hey peeps, guy with the great name again. Hope all is well. I don't know about your lady partners, but mine is absolutely freaked out by the Fiend. The ending of Raw gave her nightmares."
Yeah, my wife thought it was a bit goofy.
I can see why if you're not into it, you would hate it.
Yeah.
My lady partner really likes it.
And my lady partner doesn't watch wrestling, so Sonny.
Well, make her, Pete.
Yeah, but out of curiosity, do show us some of the Firefly Funhouse things and see.
She's seen the Funhouse stuff
What did
before.
she think?
It was alright.
Oh, okay.
It's no Steven Universe.
Exactly. Yeah. God, I cannot stop. It's Steven Universe songs on repeat in our house right now. It's the worst. Sonny
With me, mate. I've
Freightliner.
got the Goofy movie soundtrack on loop at the moment.
Sonny Freightliner says WWE backed themselves in a corner with The Fiend and Seth because now The Fiend will either lose at Hell in a Cell or someone has to interrupt the match.
No,
I'd say that The Fiend has to win, but
The Fiend has to win. And the Fiend can win. I don't think they booked themselves into a corner at this point. It's not like... This is different to CM Punk Ryback. There, they had booked themselves into a corner because Punk's whole title reign was to put it on The Rock. It was to make the WWE title feel very prestigious, so that when The Rock wins it, it feels like a really big deal, so you can do Rock versus Cena again at WrestleMania for the title. So Punk's whole reign was done by design. Problem is, they then booked him into a match inside Hell in a Cell against the unbeaten Ryback, where, well, Punk can't lose because the whole point of his run is so he's undefeated, but we can't beat Ryback either, so we have to do this finish that they did, which was a dreadful, dreadful finish. So this is the complete opposite of that.
Sean Turner says, "The Fiend will attack Corbin tomorrow, you watch."
Or one feud at a time.
Yeah, that slots him in the wrong position.
Got a couple about the tag division. Devante Lee said, "This is like the 4th time in 2 years Braun has beaten the tag division by himself in random segments or matches. It's ridiculous."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's big. They're very small.
The mayor of Painesville, Dan, comes in. This is probably the most angry I've ever heard him in my life. Saying, "The burial of the tag division is an absolute disgrace. It's shameful. They bury so many super talented people that are in these divisions, wasting their careers. I absolutely hate it, and it's been happening for years."
Yeah, well, we just got to look forward to AEW for this. They're going to treat tag team wrestling with the respect it deserves. NXT will as well, because Triple H is a big fan of it. But it's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Triple H likes tag team wrestling. The Young Bucks and Cody and Kenny love tag team wrestling. Vince McMahon hates tag team wrestling.
We got a few about various different subjects. Rons Regen said, "Kane really has to let Luke Gallows' imposter Kane thing go already."
That's good.
Very good.
Sean Turner.
That storyline.
Sean Turner says, "I roll my eyes so hard when Seth opens his mouth. I'm more entertained with Ollie's Seth impression. I miss Roman. He doesn't do a lot of cheap pops."
Well, that's because they've just transferred all of Roman's dialogue onto Seth now.
Yeah.
Timonu Zumaki says, "Charlotte was blatantly smiling while coming out. It's quite evident that all the horsewomen enjoy working together, IMO."
Well, and she's a babyface.
Yeah, or she was told to smile because when you smile, the world smiles with you.
Yeah, just don't wear those massive heels. It's like she's on stilts.
And now we have the miscellaneous ones. Rex Joseph Camara says, "Besides Rusev and Cedric, this was a 4.75 out of 5 show."
Whoa, that's big.
There was stuff to enjoy, sure, but the Rusev stuff, and the Cedric stuff, and the tag division stuff, and the King of the Ring stuff,
And Seth's promo.
like, Yeah, there's a lot of bad on here.
Jesse Venable said, noticed El Fakador is 9th overall in Wrestle League. I'm 11 places back from him, and that's 9/11. This can mean one thing, Biggie heel turn confirmed.
It's written.
It's written in the stars, a million miles away.
KJ says, which wrestler do you love no matter how much they get mistreated? For me, it's Dolph Ziggler, #heel.
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, God, there's so many to choose from. Rude, I think.
Limps says, takeaways. Number 1, The Fiend equals chaos. 2, Ricochet got quite a relegation. 3, King Corbin's as over as the B word. And 4, although he put 3 again, no better King of the Ring than King Chopper Whopper. Thanks.
Yeah, to all of those.
Jack Dolan said, what about Rusev? No, what about Raven?
What about Raven? That's so Raven.
Tom McMahon says, first super chat, thanks for being entertaining AF.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Cheers. I hope there's no relation to Vince. Put in a good word for us, pal.
Yeah.
That's the guy who watches the restaurant. That's how they get all our ideas.
I think it's actually Vince. I need to disguise myself. Tim McMahon. They'll never see past it.
Will Haight said, Luke, who's the better mayor, Glenn Jacobs or Goldie Wilson?
Well, we've got to re-elect Mayor Goldie Wilson. Progress is his real name. Progress is his middle name, rather.
Dr. Muid Z Rex, sorry if I butchered that one. Can we please read out Blake Ham's email?
We keep on trying. We just run out of
You know what?
time.
He actually has sent an email that I do want to read out, but I forgot this week. I'll do it on tomorrow's show. Maybe
if we get time.
If we get time. But he actually got to one that I do want to read.
Andy MUFC says, happy post-gender reveal party day, King Chopper. Thanks. Timothy Beatty says, should WWE stop swearing for a cheap pop?
Well, that's how you know the future's serious.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't know if they really don't like each other unless they say bitch.
Yeah, because that's what Sasha said at the end of her promo. Yeah, I mean, I find potty mouth quite fun. Yeah, I don't think you should outlaw
Just
it.
not on this channel.
Well, it means we can't make money.
Mayor of Painesville Dan comes back in to say, I can't wait for the magazine going monthly. Also, I kind of like Raw this week. What do you think? Was this a final goodbye for Kane? A moment of passing the torch? Also, Kurt Hawkins got TV time. Now, isn't that great?
I think it was just because they were in Knox County.
Yeah.
And, Kane's in town. It's like whenever they get to Vegas and you get a Godfather appearance.
You might want to mention the mag, though, because Dan did.
Oh, yes.
Cheap plug time. 2
days away. It's going in shops. Get your issue from WrestleTalk.BigCartel.com.
Oh, it's a good magazine.
Skywalker D says, just one question. Where is Lars Sullivan?
He's injured.
Yeah. A big injury as well.
Out till 2020.
Dan, you'll be pleased to know as well, you feature in this month's magazine.
As a writer?
Now in the Twitter Talk.
Oh, nice.
I'm talking about NXT UK Cardiff.
Lovely stuff. Jacques Hightower says, shout out to my twin brother, Justin Hightower.
Cool name, man. That is a cool name.
Very cool name.
Just Incredible Hightower.
Chadrick Clark says, Chopper Pete, you are the father. Rather not, if I'm honest.
That's where you were over the weekend.
He found out, he's like, I've got to get over to America.
Devante Lee said, I'm so confused. How did WWE get all the unhappy people back on TV around the same time? Also, that Rusev mustache is just beautiful. He needs to keep it.
There's a draft coming up. They need all the star power they can get because SmackDown is moving to Fox. That's how.
Yeah. But they want you to forget there's an alternative out there.
John D. Pietro, Randy Datson's number 2 fan, says, the real father is King Chopper. I don't like where this is going. It's becoming a thing. I don't like it. Colton Holman said, curious if
Colton
the Raw
Holman,
and...
That's a great name.
What?
Said Colton Holman. That's a great name.
It is a great name. He said, curious, if the Raw and SmackDown Live's current champions were to Thanos away from existence, who would you give each title to reset the main roster? It's a lot of titles. So.
We'll just do the top ones. So
Yeah.
Kofi and Seth. Oh, I put Fiend, obviously, for the Universal.
Owens.
And, yeah.
Owens get him away from Shane.
Yeah, Owens. But in that good babyface role.
Yeah.
Swifty Whiskey says, is Michael Cole turning heel? He seemed to be wavering back and forth, like WWE's teasing heel Cole for new commentary on Fox.
Oh, God, that would be
No, they want a more sports-based presentation, so I don't think they would. We didn't actually get onto how great the Fiend end sequence was, but Michael Cole ruined it by yelling, "The Fiend!
He's on Raw!"
Oh, it's awful.
He can be quite bad.
The commentators just need to shut up whenever the Fiend's out there.
But I will take today's commentary over heel Michael Cole any day of the week.
Yep.
Nathan the Alpha Wolf Vela says, Happy National Professional House Cleaners Day. Thanks. Flame Inc. said, please make Happy Chopper Day t-shirts a thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're trying to get merch up and going before December, so potentially.
Rick Chandler says, thanks for getting me through work. Keep it up.
You're very welcome. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for watching.
And Ed says, dreadful Raw IMO. Production was horrendous.
Oh, in terms of the production-wise, I thought it was totally fine.
Yeah.
No
worse than usual with Kevin Dunn's camera work.
Is that all? That was all the super chats, was it?
No, that was just the miscellaneous ones. Now we get on to the ones that came in before I just started reading those ones. Taliesin Hoeth says, I think Kane was targeted to get Taker involved.
Potentially, yeah. I think it was weird that Taker didn't play into anything last Tuesday.
Izzy Valens has another link between Bray Wyatt and Kane, saying the Brothers of Destruction took out the Wyatt family.
Yeah, that was there as well.
But if we're going down this route, then Wyatt may as well just take out everyone because he's feuded with everyone in the company.
Gives him a lot of options.
I guess so.
Dwayne Cooley again says they lost the Brothers of Destruction in 2015 Survivor Series.
I feel like we're clutching here.
Possibly. Balafigs UK says, I bet Corbin makes Gable his jester.
Oh, yes!
No.
This is great stuff.
Like that could work with Chad being the beaten down babyface,
and then makes the big valiant return, and that's when you get the big, the screw you Baron Corbin, and then they have a big old payoff match.
That could work. Yeah.
It's what we were saying for Owens and Shane.
Yeah. Could work really well. Like Miz and Alex Riley, that was a very well told version of that.
Yeah, and maybe then we can give Chad Gable Alex Riley's old music because it was really good. And we just, say it to my face! Get that back on again.
Caleb Maldonado says, glad to wake up to some lovely time with the boys.
Lovely time with the boys.
Luis da Silva said, genuinely one of my favourite Fiend moments. As a horror fan, the visual of Bray crawling closer to Seth's face was absolutely captivating and terrifying.
Yeah, it was cool.
Michael Dominguez says something that it just refreshed. Michael Dominguez says, Ollie, you looked into the Flintstones are the future?
No, I haven't had a chance. I was sleeping yesterday.
Yeah, so this is the theory. It's like Aladdin is set in the future. That's why the genie knows pop culture references from the 90s.
It's a Planet of the Apes kind of reveal, right?
I think that's what people are theorizing about the Flintstones. It's actually the future. It's post the Jetsons.
Post Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic world. And that's why they still have the technology and stuff, as opposed to the fact it was just done because it was funny.
Justin Edelheit said, happy birthday, Chopper Whopper Ding Dong.
Chopper Whopper Ding Dong.
I like that one.
Yeah.
What about Chopper Whopper Doodah?
That's mildly better.
It's a tag team partner.
Anton H. said, Fiend is getting the Stone Cold Attitude Era treatment. He's appeared multiple times throughout the show. He better win that belt.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Dominguez again said, Fiend Roman at Mania, anybody but you Roman feud.
Fiend Roman at Mania.
At Mania.
God, I don't even want to think about Fiend losing the belt right now.
But here's the biggest star in the company.
Yeah.
The only other thing we could do, and I'd actually prefer this, would be Fiend Cena. And as talk about like getting revenge for WrestleMania moments when Cena really should have put over Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. That is one there. I'd much rather have Fiend Cena.
Rocket Dan Van Sky comes back again to say, thanks guys, become a patron everybody, great live stream.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. Cheers.
You're, who did you say it was? Dan Van Sky?
Rocket Dan Van Sky, yeah.
Because I was noting down his name earlier. I thought he was in today's shout-outs, but he's not.
Unfortunate. Tana Starika said, Bray deserves a 2-year title run minimum.
That would be Yeah, if they can make it work, yeah, that'd be great.
Adam Hunter said, what if Bray starts replacing those he beats with puppets he has in the Funhouse?
It might get a bit crowded in there. I like the Wall of Friendship.
The Wall of Friendship, I think, really works. Because the puppets are sort of, fragments of his psyche, with Sister Abigail, Rambling Rabbit in reference to his rambling promos, and Huskus being the old, much larger version of Bray Wyatt. So I actually think it's better to keep it just his fractured personality as opposed to people he's beaten.
We've got Vince.
But Vince, I think, is also just part of his fractured psyche. It's just
his father figure.
Yeah, well, which is what Vince likes to believe himself to be. And, you are not good enough to be in this company, because that's what he's been told a lot over his career.
Tech Snooker says, I do not want The Fiend to get the title. Character-wise, what would be his motivation? He wants to make friends, not fame.
That's a good point, actually. What is his motivation to win the title?
I don't know if it's the title he's after. It's just Seth, and Seth has got just happens to have the title.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe we'll go after Braun. Could go after anyone. Go after Kane.
Anwesh Mishra said, what about Aleister Black beating The Fiend to take him off the title, take the title off him at WrestleMania?
You know what? I feel quite good about that one. But yeah, 2 years down the line, maybe. A big Fiend Black match.
Yeah, we need to build Black up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because, let's just do anything with Black, to be honest.
Marcus Roman says, Chopper, join the Steven Universe side. Have some dollar. I used to like Steven Universe, and then it got terrible. Mike Depew said, really wanted to see the slow corruption of Mad King Gable.
Oh, that could be cool. I'm really into the Jester idea now you've sold me on that.
Thank you. It was someone else's idea.
No, thank you, Luke.
And Zachary Jenkins says, WWE do know they have a potential, or I guess don't know, they have a potential 5-star match with Cedric and Ricochet.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be allowed to put on that kind of match, though, unfortunately. But God, yeah, that would be amazing.
And then finally, thank you to Robbie and Steph Roberts and Tim Arndt for donating, but with no message.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you all so much. Lots of super chats.
Lots of them.
We've also got some $25 a month or more pledge hammers on Patreon to also say thank you to. So here come the cheap pops for Harder Than Its Bite, Sean Barksdale.
Asuka's future husband and EOF one-man wrecking crew, Skin Tray.
Yeah.
Still weird.
Bit creepy.
You'll never get this name right, you idiots. Why'd you give me this one? Matthew Jimjewski.
It's
It'll
good.
do for now.
It's very
It'll
good.
do
He's
for now.
never corrected us.
Brett the Hitman, Matthew Williams.
Killer Chris Phillips.
Yeah. Infinite Crisis, Chris Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins. Switchblade, Courtney Summers. She's one of our longest running ones. Love Courtney.
Sorry, I was putting the thing down. Dive, Dylan Cachetta.
Hey, work smarter.
They drew first blood, not me. Grace Rambo.
Got a new Rambo movie out this week. You sold out. Jay Sellers.
You sold out. You sold out. Jonathan, the Headmaster Headman.
He's been on that stream, hasn't he?
Yes. John Santos, Little Helper.
Hey, that's a good pun. Nate, drop surname. Whoa,
Nice, yeah.
Also comments a lot.
What you gonna do, brother, when Xandermania runs wild on you?
Whoa.
And finally, T. Rex Joseph Calmerin.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for today's stream, and maybe celebrate a little bit of the bubbly, and also by preparing yourself for the launch of the WrestleTalk magazine in shops. It's coming this Thursday. It's 2 days away. We're so excited. But for now, please click the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things, and this button right here, which will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon, where you too can get your own shout out. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. Over there was Chopper Pete, and that was Rambling. Rusev Botch.